The Roman Empire had conquered kingdoms, crushed rebellions, and ruled millions of people across 3 continents. Yet in the year 193 AD, something happened so absurd that it sounds almost fictional. The throne of Rome, the most powerful position in the known world, was put up for sale, and someone actually bought it. The story begins in the city of Rome during a year historians would later call the Year of the 5 Emperors. It was a time of fear, ambition, and political chaos. Emperor Commodus, the son of the famous Marcus Aurelius, had been assassinated after years of erratic rule. His death left a power vacuum at the heart of the empire. The Roman Senate quickly declared a respected official named Pertinax as the new emperor. Pertinax was experienced, disciplined, and determined to restore order. Rome desperately needed stability. The treasury had been drained, corruption was everywhere, and the elite Praetorian Guard had grown used to receiving enormous rewards for their loyalty. Pertinax made a critical mistake. He tried to reform them. The Praetorian Guard was no ordinary military unit. These were the emperor's personal protectors, stationed inside the capital itself. They possessed something no frontier army had: immediate access to power. For years they had enjoyed privileges, gifts, and influence. Pertinax wanted to reduce their excesses and restore discipline. They did not appreciate it. Only 86 days after becoming emperor, Pertinax was murdered by members of the very force sworn to protect him. The Emperor of Rome was cut down inside his own palace. News spread through the city with shocking speed. Citizens locked their doors. Senators whispered in panic. Nobody knew what would happen next. Then the Praetorian Guard made a decision that stunned even the Romans. Instead of choosing a new ruler themselves, they announced that the imperial throne would go to whoever offered them the most money. The empire was effectively being auctioned. Inside the fortified Praetorian camp, wealthy and ambitious men rushed to seize the opportunity. 2 leading contenders emerged. One was Titus Flavius Sulpicianus, an experienced senator and the father-in-law of the murdered Pertinax. The other was Didius Julianus, an extremely wealthy senator known for his ambition. The bidding began. Ancient sources describe a surreal scene. Representatives shouted offers over the walls of the military camp. Sulpicianus promised enormous rewards. Julianus responded with even larger amounts. The competition escalated rapidly as each man tried to outbid the other. This was no ordinary political negotiation. They were literally placing a price on the Roman Empire. Then Julianus made the winning offer. He promised each member of the Praetorian Guard a staggering payment. The guards accepted immediately. The gates opened. Julianus entered the camp. In exchange for enough money, the throne of Rome was his. For the Praetorian Guard, it was a profitable deal. For Rome, it was a disaster. When word spread through the city, outrage exploded. Citizens were horrified. The idea that the empire could be sold like property shattered any remaining illusion of dignity in the political system. Crowds gathered in the streets. People openly insulted Julianus as he traveled through Rome. The Senate, surrounded by armed guards and fearing for their lives, officially confirmed him as emperor. But legality could not create legitimacy. Many Romans viewed him not as a ruler, but as a buyer. Julianus now possessed the title of emperor, but he lacked the one thing every Roman ruler needed: support. Across the empire, powerful generals commanded massive armies. Unlike the Praetorian Guard, these soldiers spent years fighting on distant frontiers. They had little respect for a man who had purchased power in an auction. One of those generals was Septimius Severus. Stationed in the province of Pannonia along the Danube frontier, Severus controlled battle-hardened legions. When news reached him, he recognized both an opportunity and a crisis. The empire was descending into chaos, and many soldiers believed the murder of Pertinax needed to be avenged. Severus declared himself emperor. He was not alone. Other generals also made claims to the throne. Suddenly, Rome faced the possibility of civil war. The empire that had once projected unmatched strength now risked tearing itself apart from within. Julianus tried desperately to hold on to power. He attempted negotiations. He made promises. He sought support wherever he could find it. But his position grew weaker by the day. Meanwhile, Severus marched toward Rome. As his army advanced across Italy, city after city accepted his authority. Resistance collapsed before it could properly form. Even members of the political elite began abandoning Julianus. They could see which way events were moving. The Praetorian Guard faced a difficult reality. They had sold the throne, but now they would have to defend their decision against experienced frontier legions. Many guards suddenly became less enthusiastic about the bargain they had made. Panic spread through the capital. Julianus considered raising new forces. He considered fortifying the city. He considered almost everything except the one thing that could save him: time. Every passing day brought Severus closer. The Senate finally reached its conclusion. The man they had proclaimed emperor was no longer useful. As Severus approached Rome, senators voted to remove Julianus from power. The same political system that had reluctantly accepted him now abandoned him completely. His reign, built on money and guarded by unreliable allies, collapsed with astonishing speed. After ruling for only 66 days, Didius Julianus was sentenced to death. Ancient accounts describe his final moments as strangely human. Faced with the end, he reportedly asked a simple question: "What evil have I done? Whom have I killed?" It was a remarkable statement from a man whose greatest crime may have been believing that power itself could be purchased. An executioner carried out the sentence. The emperor who bought Rome was dead. When Septimius Severus entered the city, he moved quickly. The Praetorian Guard that had auctioned the empire was stripped of its power. Many members were dismissed. Others were replaced with soldiers loyal to Severus. The message was unmistakable. The throne of Rome was no longer for sale. Severus would go on to establish a new dynasty and restore a measure of stability. But the events of 193 AD left a permanent mark on Roman history. They exposed a dangerous truth hiding beneath the empire's magnificent image. Rome's greatest threat was not always beyond its borders. Sometimes it stood inside the capital itself. The story of Didius Julianus remains one of the strangest episodes in political history. A world-spanning empire was treated like an item at auction. Soldiers became kingmakers, senators surrendered to fear, and a wealthy man believed enough money could buy ultimate power. For 66 days, he was right, but only for 66 days. In the end, the throne he purchased became the reason he died. The empire was not saved by wealth, promises, or political maneuvering. It was decided by force, loyalty, and the realities of power. And that is why one of the most powerful empires in history once found itself in the unbelievable position of asking a question that should never have been asked. How much is Rome worth?